So in a world where your girlfriend can be transformed into a literal weapon, let's see what this future holds in Eve of Extinction. EOE, Eve of Extinction, is a beat-em-up developed by UnderRadar and published by Eidos Interactive for the PlayStation 2 console on February 26, 2002, and the rest of the world a few months later. This is another of those games I personally owned back in the day from a game store cheap games bin, and I ended up with a hidden gem that deserves a bit more love. So with that said, let's jump into this futuristic world and see what it's all about. The story of Eve of Extinction follows Josh as he tries to save his girlfriend Eliel after she was turned into an actual weapon called the Legacy by the corporation known as Wisdom. Eve of Extinction will run you around 5 hours to complete. It's a short and simple story for a very short game, and one of the complaints I had for this game back in those days, as I wanted to keep playing and enjoying the action. But we're way past that point in time, so we'll jump in on the graphics and see how they stack up. The graphics for Eve of Extinction are decent for me, but apparently it was the source of mixed reviews this game received back in the day. Sure, it's a bit dated, but I don't think it should have warranted negative reviews of it when there were worse looking games out there in the day. I was okay with it, and I enjoyed the modern and simplistic designs of Josh and his girlfriend Eliel, as they don't go too crazy with their designs and it makes it easier to relate to these characters somewhat. The graphics may have not been everyone's cup of tea, but let's see how the music fares. The music for Eve of Extinction is decent, but nothing to really write home about in my honest opinion. This isn't to say that the music isn't good, but that the really good stuff isn't as prevalent as much as I wanted it to be. You do get some good action music, and some of the more serious stuff sounds decent as well.
Josh! Help me, Josh!
Eliel!
But I just wish there was more of it. The voice acting in this game is pretty bad though, and at times it's pretty comical with certain portions of the game.
Give me a break.
But there are some decent voice actors who really sound great, and now I'm interested in who they are so I can see them in what other games they've also voiced in.
Don't worry, you'll have a real date soon enough. A date with your girlfriend. Or maybe I should say, with the Legacy.
I honestly feel like Eve of Extinction did well with the audio department, and the gameplay should be fun as well. The gameplay for Eve of Extinction is what most reviews praise the game for, and to that I agree immensely. I will say that it's a bit dated now looking back at it, but the game does get better when you unlock more weapons. In EOE, you're pretty much beating anything and everything up with the Legacy, which is the weapon that can morph into other weapons as well. You can even dish out combos whenever you switch your weapons around, which adds to the fun factor of the game as it makes you look like an action hero or a comic book hero. This also helps with your overall gameplay as switching weapons during combos increases their level at some point, so keep comboing it up and let's get those gains. This game also sports quick time events, which honestly feels so out of place in such an old title like this that it made me feel like this was the origin of where they came from.
I sense something coming. A presence, like mine.
Who are you?
He's got his own legacy.
I'm not really sold on QTE sequences myself, but to each their own. I do have one complaint with the gameplay however, which comes in the form of needless backtracking you'll do at times. Nothing like having to go from one side of the map to another just to collect one thing and run all the way back to the start again to use said thing. It doesn't break my enjoyment of the game overall, but it's still a gripe that should be noted. Once you get the hang of things and you start downing bosses, you unlock the other weapons in the game such as a broadsword, an axe, to even a crossbow.
It's a guitar. With this weapon, you can hit enemies up into the air. When an enemy is in midair, inflict more damage with a combo attack. When fully powered up, you'll be able to perform a water-based attack with this weapon.
And you'll enhance these weapons with laces you'll find in your adventures, which upgrade your weapons and even allow special abilities to be used which require you to trace a pattern with your right analog stick. All in all, Eve of Extinction is a fun beat 'em up with some interesting ideas and some pretty rad weapons. EOE, Eve of Extinction, is a fun action-y game with interesting lore, decent visuals and music, and sometimes funny voice acting too. This is another one of those games that has interesting ideas and concepts that should be brought to life again in this new age of gaming. I feel like a remake or some sort of sequel would be nice, or to just see some indie devs take some ideas from this game to incorporate in their own video games. Thank you guys for another fantastic episode of Under Radar, and I'll see you on the next one.